So I am a recipe developer, a cookbook author, and a food stylist. Um, so cookbook author, that's self-explanatory. I write cookbooks that you can buy on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, wherever books are sold. I have 3 new ones coming out this summer. As a recipe developer, I work with a variety of food and beverage brands and appliance companies to develop recipes for their website, social media, product packaging. And as a food stylist, I work in commercial and digital settings, styling food to be camera ready for media purposes.
Sarah was part of the Hart School where she studied music, which was her main focus throughout college. However, cooking and baking were another creative outlet she has been doing her whole life.
When I was getting my master's degree was when I started like really cooking and baking because I was so busy with school. The only thing I had time to do was kind of like when I was home, I would, just be in the kitchen to unwind from all the work. My first job out of grad school was directing a music program at a church, and I met a bunch of people at that church working for a company called Yumly, which is owned by Whirlpool Appliances. And one thing led to another. They needed someone to develop a ton of recipes for this new project they were launching, and my friends knew that I could pretty much cook and bake anything, so they got me to do the job.
Most of the food Sarah cooks is determined by the client she is working with. They tell her what dish to make, and then she needs to come up with a recipe for that dish.
Sometimes it's um, more vague, where they're just like, okay, we need something that's going to incorporate, this brand of sausage or whatever, and it needs to be a breakfast recipe. Let's see what you can do. But then, when I write cookbooks, for instance, the first one that's going to be coming out this summer is entirely a donut cookbook. So I had total creative freedom to make, 60 different donuts of my choosing. The next book is a one pot casserole book. So as long as it's a one pot casserole, it was totally just up to me to, decide what I thought sounded good to put in the book.
Sarah loves to cook all types of food, especially Italian American food. She likes to bake more than cook, even though she does both equally.
The one that people seem to love is my banana cream pie. And so when that's very specific. Like, that's the difference. With baking, it's like you kind of got to stick to what's written, whereas cooking, you can improvise a bit. But I always lean towards like fresh ingredients, whole ingredients. I try to work with the seasons, avoid processed things when possible just because it doesn't taste as good, and just go with what I feel like making that day.
Sarah worked professionally in music up until a year ago. Then she started working full time and doing food.
Kind of what I learned and what I would hope to share with people is, for the longest time, I thought cooking was kind of like a frivolous hobby, and that it wasn't really, it was just something I enjoyed to do. But I would have this guilt around like, oh, I should really be spending this time practicing music, doing schoolwork, or what have you. But what I've really learned is that having hobbies is really important. Having a creative outlet is extremely important, and to never underestimate what those hobbies can amount to, whether it does become something professionally or if it is just for your own personal well-being. I think everyone should really have something that interests them outside of what they think should interest them or what they think is, their only professional objective.
Sarah was live on the UHUD Instagram on Friday morning where she baked flourless chocolate cupcakes. The recipe was shared at the end of the Instagram story.
So they only have, like, if you know what a flourless chocolate cake is, it's the same thing in cupcake version. They only have 5 ingredients because I know times are insane right now. It's so hard to find anything in the stores. They're super quick, and they make like a small batch, so you don't have like all these uneaten baked goods around your house. And they're gluten free.